And next up is Laura Nolasco.
A short preface to Siren by Michael Rhines, which is about Attica Prison. When I was in graduate school, I spent most of my time taking airplanes going from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris to JFK Airport in New York City and then on to Rochester. And one day I put my carry-on bag onto the conveyor belt. It was a little plastic bag, and I noticed the ground crew staring at me as if I had two heads. And then it dawned on me they were staring at my plastic bag that said Attica all over it, and then I said, no. Attica is the name of a bookstore in Paris, France. You see, it says Librairie, which looks like library, but it means bookstore. And then they stopped staring at me, but they let me go. But I was overseas for so long that I had forgotten that they might associate the name Attica with the name of the prison. And I picked this poem because I thought it would be a challenge for someone who is the polar opposite of Vincent Goffin to try to convey the calm rage that Michael Rhines is conveying in his poem, Siren. If you think slavery was abolished in 1865, welcome to Attica, where overseers wearing the color of the Confederacy patrol the corridors of your soul, looking to draw psychological blood. If you think slavery was abolished, welcome to Attica, where men still pledge allegiance to Jefferson Davis, teaching their nightsticks to whistle Dixie while crushing your skull. If you still think that slavery was abolished, welcome to Attica, where Jim Crow is not enforced by oppressors with pale faces or their lily-white legislation, but by the oppressed. If you think slavery is no longer legal, welcome to Attica, where human beings are reduced to chattel by having their souls castrated, spirits raped, minds murdered, and their hearts lynched. If you're under the impression that slavery is a part of America's evil past, welcome to Attica, where the inscription on the faces of the staff reminds you you are still 3/5 of a human being, no matter what the constitutional amendment states.
It's my privilege to introduce a poet to you that most of you probably have not met. And this is Jerry Dillon from the JPC. Oh, you're tall. Tall. That's tall enough?
That's good. Hi, guys. Hey, I'll be here reading for you tonight. Recent Thoughts by Eric Smith. You can see better. I don't think they understand. This life here, it tends to steal from you. It plays dice with you. It even takes a life from you. It's like it looks in your face and laughs, but hides behind a cover. And when it strikes, it makes sure you couldn't recover. At 17 years old, 1992, it showed me something. Now one mistake can turn your time to nothing. I really know how it feels to really suffer, to lay back in a cell and see the walls spinning, to feel grief, but anger keeps me grinning. I know how it feels to take that walk to see the pastor, to feel the heat rise before he told me she's in the life after. The pain my mom's felt as her voice cracked on the phone. That was the day I said that I'm really alone. Rest in peace. Now I have to face those who can't understand, those little boys who swear they're a man. At times, even I see the blackness of my eyes, as dark as coal, and sometimes my life I despise. Eric, we right here, son. Peace. Yeah.
I'm not that tough. Okay, I think that at where we are right now is, Pat, you get to come on back and close it on up. And then we're going to have, so that you don't run away, we're going to have a lot of lentil soup, which is vegan and, you know, ready for you for a break. Then we'll go to open mic after that.
I asked if I could read the title poem of the book as our finale of this part of the reading tonight, and I want to thank everyone so much for being here. And for those who read, I have worked so intimately and closely with all of these poems and with the poets over a long period of time that it's always a thrill for me to hear different people read and interpret these poems, and I especially love the way Vincent does. I'm going to be wearing my poetry hat. This hat was crocheted for me by Poppy. Hey, Poppy. Several of the poets are also in crochet class. And what I love about it is the poets who are in crochet class meet while everyone's crocheting. They sit together at one table and write poems for poetry class. Because in prison, of course, you can't just hang out with your friends any old time you want to. But in crochet class, the poetry contingent makes good use of their time. The story behind the title poem, which will be the last poem in the book and our finale poem tonight, is that Nate Wheelings, and we've heard a couple of poems from Nate. Nate went home, and I hope he is still home. He certainly has not come back to Auburn. You know, we'd love to see him, but not under those circumstances. Nate was locked up since he was 13 years old. He was in juvie, then he was sent up to Auburn to max out his sentence. I have no idea why such a thing was done. And a very young man sent to the maximum security prison for a few years, but he joined poetry class, wrote more poems than anybody else, and the very first night that I came to do the class, Jalil met me at the door, and, you know, and I was thrilled to meet him. We've been writing back and forth to set up the class. I was nervous only in that I hoped all the guys would accept me and that things would go smoothly and so forth. Class went very well. Young man named Nate sat in the back of the room, didn't say a word, didn't participate. After that night, he participated very actively. But that first night he sat there, I didn't know what was going on, and I saw that he was writing. Throughout the whole class he wrote, and at the end of the time he came up and presented me with this poem, which was never revised. And then 8.5 years later, even though Nate did go home 2 years later, the title poem of this book. Doing time to cleanse my mind. Doing time to cleanse my mind from all the evils of mankind. I've transferred from a slow wit into an educated black poet. Once trapped inside an old, no-good, crime-infested neighborhood called Far Rockaway. Doing time to cleanse my mind from all the evils of mankind. I've learned to stay away from negativity and live my life righteously as I share my heart through the precious arts of poetry. Doing time to cleanse my mind from all the evils of mankind in a classroom at the far end of a long hallway. It touched my heart to know some people aren't afraid to teach someone so close but so far away. Couldn't read or write, and he had a young female lawyer who brought him books, so there are lots of people that do help, and he pretty much taught himself. And you have already heard 2 other poems by Nate plus this one, and he wrote them all in prison when he was less than 20 years old. And wherever you are out there, Nate, our love goes to you, because I will never forget you and that night and this poem, and now it's on this book. We really hope that if you don't have copies of these books, that you would be able to get some from us, and I will be available for that. And again, all proceeds help with this program. Thank you.
And I'm taking pictures of everybody. Shout out to the